What up, what up? It's your boy Dwell, aka Mr. J, aquí en la casa, coming at you sideways with another episode of Las Different Voices. It's a new day, it's a new year, 2020, and we're ready to go, you know. Today I got a special guest, Cynthia. Cynthia's in the house, the first lady and the first podcast of the year. How's it going, Cynthia?
Good. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And I'm glad you actually came through. You know, I appreciate it. I respect that. And I'm thankful because, yeah, it's the first lady to come through, and pretty much you were up for it the whole 9 yards, as they say. And thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
First of all, how's your new year going? You know, how was your New Year's? Pretty much. Let's start with that.
It was mellow. We didn't do anything like in past years, but I feel like it might have been that way for everyone this year.
Yeah, it was chill because we didn't go out either, to be honest. Fred came by. That was it. He came by probably like at 9, and we just chilled out. Me and my family right here. You know, probably you guys had family over or? No,
it was just us this year, so it was really mellow.
Okay. So I met Cynthia. How do you pronounce your last name, by the way? If you don't mind me asking. Rebolledo. Okay. So I met Cynthia kind of through a mutual friend or a homie, as we could say, at Rock and Roll Realtor. Shout outs to him. And I met Cynthia through a job I did, you know, and I did her fireplace, as you could say. How is it working?
It's beautiful.
Is it?
Yeah, you did a great job.
You like the final product?
Yes.
I haven't seen it. I saw the pictures. But you're happy with everything over?
Yeah, I love the way it came out. Like, you need to come by and see it in person. Okay. It came out so great. Yeah,
dope. And you know what? It was a little puzzle project at the end, and I'm glad it worked out. You know, I'm glad it worked out. So I met Cynthia through she pretty much hired me to do a fireplace mantle, and then from there we just started chopping it up, and I was like, I gotta ask her to come by, you know, and thank you for the opportunity once again, and now thank you for coming by once again. You know, I appreciate it. The reason I kind of, you know, sparked me to bring you by, because you were telling me you're a writer, right?
Yes. So I'm a freelance writer, but I used to work for OC Weekly.
Oh, okay. And yeah, and that too. I was like, wow, that's cool. So how was that?
It was amazing because when I started at the OC Weekly, I actually started as an intern, and I was an intern under, at the time, our editor-in-chief was Gustavo Arellano, and, you know, he's the best of the best, and if you want to learn under anyone, he's like the person to learn under, and I feel like that's where my career really got off the ground, was that internship, and then later it led to me writing for the paper. And is writing something you were doing before, or how did you hop into it, or how did that come to be? It was actually a mix. So radio led to writing for me. So in college we had a radio station. It was like an internet radio station, and I would have people on and I would interview them like the same format like what you're doing. Yeah. And I really enjoyed it. And so when I wrote my first story ever, it kind of made sense because it's like interviewing someone, but then you just kind of put it into words and write a story. So it kind of it segued from radio to then writing for publications.
Oh, that's dope. And how long did you do that? How was that, the radio stuff? How was that experience? And how long did you do it?
I did radio for, I want to say, 3 years. I really enjoyed it, and I actually really miss it. It was really cool because it was actually influenced by OC Weekly. So I would interview people here in Orange County, and all kinds of different people, like artists, chefs, photographers.
Oh, that's dope.
And it was really great getting to know, you know, people that make up our community and get to know their stories. And then later, like, the format kind of changed, where I would interview them for the first half hour, and then for the second half hour I would have them pick their music. So they chose like the playlist for the rest of the show.
And was that pre-planned, or was it at the moment? For them to choose their music, did you kind of give them a heads up?
Oh, I did, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I gave them a heads up, so that way, if I had to find any like of the music online, I could like have it uploaded for them. But that was really cool. Also, getting to see people's like personality that way too, because everyone's music choices are different.
You don't mind the camera kind of facing a little bit, half and
no.
half? Okay,
no
cool.
problem.
Oh, that's dope. And so you did that for 3 years. What college or university? What was it, university?
I was at Cal State Fullerton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope. And you had they have like a station there pretty much, or was it like this? You said.
It is a station, so it's in the basement of the library.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, it's so cool. You like go into the basement. There's your station, but we were internet, so we weren't like an FM station. But what was cool about being internet was we were able to play whatever music we wanted because we weren't like having to deal with like FCC.
Oh, okay.
So I actually really enjoyed being able to do that because then I could play whoever, and if my guests came on, they could play whoever they wanted.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, obviously with like we had to like no cussing or stuff like that.
Oh, so you still had to.
We still
get, like the edited version.
Yeah, we did.
Much?
Yeah,
okay.
Just because it's college. It's a college campus.
Yeah. Everybody's drunk, but they can't cuss.
Right. Yeah.
They can't listen to cussing.
Exactly.
Nah, just not drunk, but party. You know.
Partying. Yeah, they're partying in the dorm rooms, but we can't.
How was that experience? Would you stay at the dorms, or would you drive by, or back and forth?
I didn't live on campus. I lived off campus, and I would just drive to school and do my radio show. It was 1 day a week. And it was always fun because you just like curate it, kind of like your show here. You get to like meet so many interesting people that way. And I have like friends now that I met through having them on as a guest, which is really cool.
And what was it called, or did it have a title or was it a show, or like, like Big Boy's Neighborhood, anything it was called?
So the radio station itself is Titan Radio.
Okay.
But my show was called Squeeze My Orange.
Oh, Squeeze My Orange, which is your Instagram
handle, right? Yeah.
You know what? It was funny because my wife was like, "Is it okay if I see who it is?" Obviously she's curious. I'm like, yeah, that's fine, because she was like, "Oh, the first, lady coming by." Mm-hmm. And I'm like, "Yeah, search it up. It's SQZ My Orange." And she's like, "Squeeze My Orange." I'm like, "Oh, that's what it stands for." I couldn't pronounce it.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to pronounce. I didn't even expect that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, okay. I was like, I learned that yesterday because I did some studying too, I guess. And I had to kind of, and I do have some questions because I was kind of scrolling by, but, well, I guess we'll get into that. Who was any like a good experiences, or like famous people, or who can you remember gave you a good time or good impression, or like, wow, I'm meeting this person or interviewing this person? Any experiences like that?
Ooh, that's a good question. I had a lot of really cool guests on the show. Logan Crow, he's local here in Santa Ana. So he is the founder of the Frida Cinema. Oh, okay. So the art house movie theater. He was really cool to get to know, and I always loved having him on because what I majored in college was radio, TV, film. So okay. I love movies, and it was always so much fun to have him on and geek out about movies and just learn about like art house theaters and just how the Frida operates as a nonprofit. It's really based off like the your ticket you buy then goes back into the theater.
Oh, that's dope.
And there aren't many art house theaters around anymore that show independent films or student films or foreign films. So it's cool that we have that here in Santa Ana.
That is dope, because I remember back in the day before it turned into that, I've been in there because I think a couple of people that you might know, and I know there's some art there, so I want to go check it out. But I never seen the movie. I've been there once many years ago when I think we sneaked in there, to be honest, many years prior to before it became
the Frida.
Yeah. The Frida. What is it called? The Frida House, or
the Frida?
The Frida.
Yeah, Frida Cinema.
That's cool. That's cool that you interviewed that guy. I think I maybe seen that guy once, because of Fred. Fred on.
Oh yeah.
Fred knows pretty much everybody there, so through him I met a lot of people, and what a trip. That was a small world. I'm like, what a small world, because turns out you were his boss.
That's right.
So that's cool. A small world. Shout out to Stoop Down.
Yeah. You know? And he was amazing to work with. Like, he's so talented. So I was so happy that we were able to work together for that short amount of time.
Yeah. And what happened to OC Weekly, to be honest? Because it pretty much is not around no more, huh?
No, the OC Weekly... The OC Weekly got shut down by the owner. We were all let go the day before Thanksgiving. Damn. Yeah, it was like, you know, the legacy of this paper that had been around for so long and what it did for Orange County and then like the communities within Orange County. It's like that voice is just like completely gone now. But unfortunately, the person who owned the OC Weekly at that time, who shut it down, I don't think he understood what the paper stood for, its legacy. Obviously, he didn't appreciate the amazing journalism that was coming out of that paper and the artists and how we covered the music scene, just everything. And he just was not willing to invest into this publication that he bought for, we have no idea why. So... Unfortunately, RIP to OC Weekly, but there's still people from the OC Weekly are doing amazing things, so you could still go out and like find them.
They all ventured out to their own pretty much.
Yeah, everyone's kind of doing their own thing. Yeah.
That's cool. And yeah, because I never really read it, but I would see the articles and those. I mean the covers, and those covers had random things all the time. You know.
Yeah.
I remember one that actually picked up. I don't know, you probably know, but it was Uncle Sam with flipping off the saying "Go back to your country," and that made me spark a conversation with the white guy. Okay. And that was an interesting. I mean, that's for another day, but it was an interesting conversation, you know. But I remember they had random like, I guess it's not your typical newspaper, I guess, or.
No, it's an alternative weekly, and. It's not your typical newspaper at all. It's just I can't emphasize how sad it is that it no longer exists. But it was always pushing the limits, and it was telling stories that other publications weren't telling or even cared to tell. So it was always like a voice for those whose voices were often left unheard or untold. Yeah. And as far as like our covers go, like you're mentioning, that was like one of my favorite things. Like I remember being in high school and grabbing OC Weeklies and always wondering what the new cover was going to be or what the story was going to be about. Yeah. We had amazing art directors, which, speaking of Freddie, he was our last art director before we got shut down, and he did amazing work.
Yeah, he was real happy. I remember because me and him have a good relationship, and you know, whenever he can, he'll pretty much come and chop it up with me. And I know for that moment he was real happy. And I saw some of his work too. So yeah, it sucks, I guess. Cause it was kind of like you say, our magazine, you know what I mean? For the county or the city, however you want to see it. Right. But it was ours, you know? No, yeah. So I don't even know if the OC register's around no more, but I think they're just like web, right? I don't know.
They're still around, but you know, I just feel like the OC Weekly dug deeper to get, you know, stories like, you
about
know,
the people here.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's like the best way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, okay. So you majored pretty much just to, let me ask you that. What, if you don't mind, what did you, what's your, what's your title? Bachelor's, master's?
I got a bachelor's in radio, TV, film. So that was under the communications department of Cal State Fullerton.
And that has nothing to do with journalism, right?
Not at all. No, I'm a person who did not go to journalism
school. So you pretty much didn't get no education from school.
Not from school, no. Not formal training in journalism from school. My formal training for journalism was the OC Weekly. Oh, okay. Yeah, that internship taught me probably more than I could have ever learned, like at school.
So how did you really get into like the writing form? Like how did you learn on that? Did you learn it on your own? Did you take classes or how was that?
I did not. No, I never even took a journalism class. No? Yeah.
Not even like outside or
no.
YouTube or not?
No. So before the OC Weekly, I interned at KCET.
Oh, okay.
And that was when I wrote my first story. And I just decided, I'm going to try this. Why not? How much different can it be than me interviewing people? And at the time, I actually had a YouTube channel called Squeeze My Orange. So the name goes back.
So
it all correlates.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so on that YouTube channel, it was the same thing, interviewing people, but I would interview them on camera.
Oh, okay.
And it was like bands, chefs.
So you'd have the just like a first person view or like just focusing on them, the camera, pretty much?
In the beginning, I just had like one camera set up just like this.
Yeah.
And then like as other friends from school like wanted to help me, then we had 2 cameras going on, and then we felt really professional.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
It was not professional at all. But
but that's fun, right?
It was so much fun. And again, it was just like another way to meet people in my community and just like explore my own community here in Orange County. So based off that YouTube channel, a friend of mine told pretty much like the director of KCET, Artbound, that I had a YouTube channel like that, and he offered me. I actually met him at the Bauer Museum.
Oh, okay.
So it's all very localized. We were at an exhibit that they were having there, and he invited me to be an intern. And I took the internship, and again, I learned a lot from the internship. And I asked if I could write my first story. They were very open to it, and it kind of just went from there.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, so it's kind of just learning through these like publications that I've worked for. But I would say it was the definitely the OC Weekly that taught me the most.
So through your internship, were you already writing, like how did that work? Were you writing for someone so someone could put their name out there, or were you already kind of like, or were you writing anything at all, pretty much, or just learning through the internship? Did you get a chance to write?
So the internships are all different wherever you go. I was fortunate enough to be able to write a couple of pieces when I interned for KCET. And then as far as the OC Weekly goes, it's you get thrown right in. Oh, okay. It's like you get thrown into it. It's not, and I love that though. Like that is what made me a good writer and taught me so much, is that I wasn't pouring someone coffee at my internship.
Oh, that's good.
I wasn't, just sitting there and not doing anything. You really get thrown into the fire of journalism, and you're going to learn. You're not there to sit around.
So right away, hands-on, pretty much.
Yes. And you get credit for what you write. So if I wrote a story for OC Weekly as an intern, it had my byline on it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. And that's cool. What was your first gig like on your own without being intern? What was the transition like? Were you nervous? Were you pretty much? Pretty sure, but how was it? It
was really exciting. So the first time that I wrote for OC Weekly as a non-intern was very exciting, because that's when you feel like I made it. Yeah, like I'm not just writing as an intern. This is like my byline, and I get paid to write, which is like such a cool feeling.
That's cool.
And yeah, OC Weekly was my first like actual professional. I got paid as a writer to write, which was cool.
And that's what pretty much I'm like, oh, that's cool, because when you told me that, I was like, I've never met a journalist. I was like, or around here especially, it's like, oh, that's cool. You write, you write pretty much. You work now. You work for yourself, right?
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm considered like an independent contractor as a freelance writer.
That's cool. Yeah. That's cool. How did that come to be? From OC Weekly to becoming from intern to OC Weekly to freelance
being
contractor.
Freelance. Well, it worked out because it's just kind of how the cards played out. So when the OC Weekly got shut down the day before Thanksgiving, I was also very, very pregnant. Oh, okay. And so it kind of has been this like new, like crazy transition back into writing. So then I obviously had my son, And then the pandemic hit, and then we got shut down. And so it wasn't like I went back into like working because I had just had a baby. And I wasn't looking to apply for jobs right away. Yeah. Just being a new mother and the fact that we're still going through a pandemic, aren't we?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of just spilling into the next year. So I decided at that moment that I was just going to freelance and not look for a job because I had this baby at home and I wanted to like be with him. Yeah. And I could write from home, which is really cool with being a journalist, that you can do that from home. You could do that remote. And I'm lucky enough to work with some great publications that allow me to do that.
So, okay, I'm going to kind of switch topic real quick, which is, I think, good. How was that experience? So let's just say they said shut down. You know when that happened, like we're shutting everything down, don't go out. You were pregnant, pretty much, or no? Or was that?
I had just had him. So my son was born March 11th.
Oh, March 11th.
2020.
2020. Okay.
Yeah. So literally right after I had him, like a nurse from Chalk came into our room saying, I suggest you have no visitors and you don't bring your baby around anyone because we don't know enough about this virus.
Oh, wow.
And so it was scary, but at the same time, it allowed us to have time with our son.
Yeah.
That we wouldn't have had if this unfortunate virus came along.
But it's kind of scary though, cause like was your like parents able to see him or no?
Only my mom, because and that's only because we went from the hospital to my mom's house.
Oh, okay.
Because at the time our house was still like not done at all.
Oh, okay.
So we didn't even have anywhere to put, like he didn't have a room, or our room wasn't ready. So
yeah, that seems kind of scary, you know. Say I remember one guy, like I still kind of was like not like you know how you say like you don't believe it till it starts, like the days keep coming. Like, oh, we're shutting everything down. You really don't see it. And I remember this guy, he's a computer tech where I take my computers when they're messed up.
Oh, okay.
He was like, I think his wife was pregnant too, and he's like, yeah, I'm trying not to go out. I'm trying to, because my wife's pregnant. And I was just like, oh, okay. But now that I think about it, I was like, that could have been a little scary, you know? A little scary situation, especially not knowing what's going to happen and having a newborn coming through to a world you can't even go out to, pretty much.
Right. Yeah, it definitely was scary. It's just scary in general, right? Regardless of, it being a new parent, scary because you're like learning everything for the first time. But yeah, throw a pandemic on top of it and it's really scary.
Yeah. And how was that experience for you then? Because personally, I took advantage of the shutdown, I didn't just sit down, And like they would say on TV, radio, hey, take the opportunity to think about what you want to do. And, and I actually recorded music. I actually, started this. I took advantage of the situation. But as a writer, did it inspire you? Did it put you down? Did it give you writer's block?
That's a good question. As far as like that, having that time, it allowed me to have, say like the OC Weekly didn't get shut down and we were still operating, I would have had to have gone back to work, especially at the time because I was the publisher of the paper. So I wouldn't have been allotted the time that I got with my son. And like, I will forever be grateful for the amount of time that I've been able to like be with him. And as far as like writing goes, I actually wrote throughout the beginning of the pandemic and wrote some stories, but it was usually about how COVID was affecting businesses or people. So I was happy to be able to like tell, again, other people's stories and sometimes tell like, uplifting stories, because I felt like in the beginning, a lot of what we were reading was all very negative. But eventually it did feel like everything I was writing about had to do with COVID. And eventually that, like, I just wanted to tell someone's normal story that, like, with COVID not related to it.
Yeah. Because even right now, still everything is COVID talk.
Right.
Well, not everything, but a good percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, even like as a rapper, I was like, I call my my mixtape that I did keep your distance. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
I was using it metaphorically, like as a rapper, keep your distance.
Right.
You know. But it gave me ideas, you know. But after a while, I was just like, I gotta switch it up too. But
this is cool that this came out of it.
It really did. Well, this is my music stuff in reality, and then I just took it back. Like I said, I'm like, I already have the stuff. All I did was need a camera. I bought another mic, which is this one, and practiced pretty much. Messed up a bunch of times and messing up still, but I'm learning as I go.
That's good.
Yeah, and what kind? Okay, let's get back into it. No more COVID talk.
Okay.
You know? So how was what was, as an intern, what was the first project they made you or not made you, but you had to write about?
Ooh,
if you can remember.
If I can, I know that's the key there. If I can remember, I think I know what it is actually. I remember going on an assignment with Gustavo Arellano. I went with him to shadow him on how you would cover a what is the term, like a media event. So but it was a media event for a restaurant called Anki, and they're at South Coast Plaza, and they've been around for a long time, and they're actually considered major contributors to their cuisine here in Orange County.
Oh, okay. So they're inside of the mall, South Coast, or like? Yes,
so they're like right by, I want to say Bloomingdale's.
Oh, okay.
They're like they're kind of like attached to it.
Okay.
And I remember, so I was just supposed to shadow there, and I was just kind of just paying attention to what was going on, which was a bunch of media people sitting at a table from different publications, everyone a lot older than me, and there was a demonstration of the food being presented that was going along with a book that they had just put out on their family, how they got here to the United States, and the cuisine that they cook. And I remember eating my lunch, because it was like a lunch media event, and Gustavo just looking at me and saying, "You're going to write about this, so take notes and start taking some photos." So feet to the fire, it went from me thinking I'm just shadowing him and just, see what's going on to, okay, switch mode. I have to like get this story down so I could prove myself to him that I can write about food, because at the time I really wanted to write about food and I hadn't yet. So that was my first story I wrote as an intern that also proved myself that I could write about food. So cool. I'll forever hold that story close to my heart because of that.
That's good. And if somebody wanted to read it, can they still read it somewhere, or is that pretty much out of the picture?
Luckily, our OC Weekly website is still online. So you can still go and look up stories. The only thing that is sad about the website is under each owner, every time we would get like a new website, we lost a lot of archival stories. So some stories, like especially if you're like trying to go way back and find older OC Weekly stories, a lot of those aren't online anymore, and that's so unfortunate. But you can still go online and search through the website. Like you could still see like Freddie's like art covers, or like I actually wrote a story on Freddie.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Yeah.
He might have showed me. I don't know. He shows me a lot of stuff. I don't remember, but he probably showed me that. And I don't remember. Well, that's cool. You wrote a story on him. About what? Like
his art exhibit at the Bowers Museum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool one.
It was amazing.
Hey, props to him.
Yeah.
He had the whole museum, or pretty much for himself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he did.
A good part of it. That was cool. That was a cool.
Yeah.
Cool experience for even me. I was like, that's cool. And so pretty much go online and you might be able to find a couple of your stories.
Yeah. So if you go to ocweekly.com, you can, in the search bar, you could put like my name, or you could say you're looking for another story. You could put that in the search bar. Sometimes you have to kind of play around with it because the website's kind of but there's still stories up, and hopefully that doesn't go down, because that would be really sad.
I think website stuff I don't know. I think if you search MySpace, I'm still somewhere around there, you know. So hopefully that's how that works. And okay, so now, what was your first story as a freelancer? If you can remember.
As a freelancer, yeah, I think it was one for KCET.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wrote a story about a man in Fullerton, and he owns a store called Blanquel, and he carves furniture from hand.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's he's from Mexico, and it's all an old art form, like it's like artisanal, like the type of furniture he makes. And he also sells like other, you know, like your calendar, like stuff like that, some really cool crosses, calavera, tiles, just it's an amazing store. And last I checked, it's still there. It's off of Harbor, so it's like right in the middle of downtown. But I wrote a story about him and how he got into that and how he opened a store in Fullerton.
Oh, that's cool. And then did it come pretty much like, was the story like he came as an illegal or anything like that?
Yes, he definitely he immigrated here, and so what he used to do in Mexico was sell like mid-century furniture, and that's how it started out. So he's always kind of been like furniture revolved around him. And then he did like a couple of like custom pieces for people in Mexico, and then when he came over, he talked about having to work odds and end jobs as, you know, an immigrant, which we hear a lot. And because, you know, not having papers and who's willing to give you a job, not willing to give you a job. So he had to start from scratch, and he did. And he owns his own store called Blanquel Art on Wood. And he also does metal fabrication.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there's a restaurant in downtown Fullerton called Matador. And
I think I've seen that one. It's like it's in the downtown bar area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Matador. I've been there once or twice.
And I think he's done some metal sculptures for them are in their restaurant. And I'm sure at this point he's probably done like a bunch for other restaurants or even maybe people's homes. I think he even does custom work for people's own collections. And he built his business just from the ground up again here in the United States.
That's dope. And that's a sign, you know, I mean, we put our mind to it, we can build our own too, you know. So and that's why I started this podcast, because I've met a lot of people from the hood or you know, just in general, you know, people that get stuck in the same position, and it's like, you know, don't keep that mindset. We could do whatever we want to do, you know. We have to just go out in there and do it, and if not, something else will work out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we just gotta move on, and if those guys can do it, we can do it, you know. It's surprising because that motivates me, to be honest. Like I see people, you know, it's like these guys don't even have papers and they have houses, you know. And it's like, why? Because they have the motivation and the drive to accomplish it, you know. So so we could all do the same, you know, pretty much. That's to me a motivation. It's like, if they can do it, we can do it, you know. So I mean, we're all the same, but you know what I mean. They have less resources than we do in reality. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and
I think we're blessed to say, you know. So I think we're good.
Yeah, he's definitely like a great person to look to as like motivation, and his story is just amazing. And he's such a nice man. That is what I can't remember. I'm trying to remember his name, but his last name is Blanquel. So that's and the store's name is Blanquel Art on Wood.
Oh, okay. Well, if anybody knows, look it up, man. Go buy something right there.
I know. I feel terrible that I can't remember his first name, but
it's all right.
That was definitely a long time ago that I wrote that.
And what was your latest? I mean, I read one of them.
Yeah.
The one you showed me.
Okay. That's my most recent story that I wrote. Okay. So that story was on Charreria's history here in Southern California, California, and the Pico Rivera Sports Arena. So
that was interesting.
Yeah, it was really cool to write that one on a lot of different levels. Again, it just goes back to like the ethos that I got from the OC Weekly, and being able to tell people stories that often aren't told. And for Charería, you know, there isn't too much on it. And there aren't too many oral histories from the actual pioneers or veteran charos that, you know, helped contribute to bringing Charería here to Southern California. So it was really, really fun being able to like talk to people and get some history. I also got a lot of help from a professor at Yale University who wrote a book on it. And with like, her book was so informative, and it kind of like helped me piece together my story as well, because I was doing more oral histories and interviewing people. But it's, you know, they made the Pico Rivera Sports Arena like it's this institution that was meant and created specifically. It wasn't an arena built for sports. It was an arena built for Charería.
Oh, that's dope.
And that was in 1978. And I talked to some veteran charos, and one of them, his name's Armando Abedoy, said he remembers being like 13 and watching them build the arena and couldn't believe that they were really going to build a lienzo charo for them.
Yeah.
You know, that's something for, you know, a Mexican sport.
Yeah, and I learned a lot reading that. I didn't even know. I mean, I know it's, to some people it's like that's who you are, but it's also a sport, you know. People do it for competition. I thought it was just something you know, go get the cow and tie them up, you know how they run. And
yeah, but
it's a sport. They're actually playing against somebody, right? Or pretty
much. So it's based off a point system, but it's actually, you're right, in a way you are absolutely right. So it did start off that way. So it was really like on the ranchitos, them getting the cows to give them their medicine, to like wrangle them up.
So that was a real purpose.
Yes, that's what it started off. Yeah, that's what it started off as. And then it became a way for them to show their skill level and their horsemanship. And so then, you know, and that goes back like a long time ago. Yeah. So that it became a sport in Mexico in 1933.
Oh, wow.
So like it just shows you. Sport? Yes, an official sport.
Pay to go watch?
I don't know if you paid to watch back then. I don't know that history. Yeah. But it became federated in 1933 in Mexico. But it did start off that way. It was like these men that, that had the horsemanship, did that, and then it became an actual profession. And now there's, these charos that are equivalent to like our, like your baseball players, your Major League Baseball players.
Yeah, that's cool.
And they have sponsors.
Oh, wow.
and there's just like so much to it now. It's grown so much from how it started.
So, I mean, putting aside the COVID, pretty much that stadium's still running active and people can go pay and go see all that stuff.
Yes.
Today,
yeah.
Right?
Yes. So
it's not just like a private thing.
No, so the Charería, there's some competitions throughout the year before the biggest one, which happens in Mexico. So it just passed in October, I believe, and that was in Aguascalientes.
Oh, okay.
But then there's competitions here in the United States to qualify to be able to go to like the national competition, which happens in Mexico. So you could go to those here. And then obviously you could go to the one in Mexico. But Pico Rivera Sports Arena it doesn't just do Charería.
Oh, okay.
There's also like music events there.
Oh, okay.
There's like not a night market. There's like food vendors where you could go.
Like Swami style stuff? Or tanguis?
Maybe.
That's what they call them, right? Tanguis.
But they do all kinds of stuff. And that's like another aspect of the Pico Rivera Sports Arena that I think some people are aware of, but I learned a lot about was the names that went through there. Mm-hmm. Like Vicente Fernandez was there, Wanga played there, Antonio Aguilar, pretty much his whole entire like family performed there, and then like a bunch of other people. Yeah. And so it also became a place for our culture to have, their music and support the artists that they loved.
Okay, let me ask this, because earlier when I said I got something as I was scrolling by, you know, I have something for later. Now it's kind of a good opportunity. I saw a picture with some charros and Vicente Fernandez. So okay, let me backtrack a little bit. So did somebody ask you to write about that, or is that something you wanted to write, or how did that come into play?
That's an interesting question. I actually have always been interested in telling a story like this because my family participated in the sport. So
that's what I saw. So I want to ask some questions on that.
So my grandfather and my great uncles, I guess you could consider them pioneers to the sport here in Southern California. So they were part of different riding teams. My grandfather, one of the teams that he was part of was La Zacatecana. My family's from Zacatecas. And so it was really special to me to be able to tell this story that also tells you, you know, I was able to share my culture. I was able to share something that my family contributed to. And I was also so proud to share it with them and show them, like, look, I was able to do this.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting and cool, you know, because not too many people could say my dad or grandpa or they were charros, you know, and they used to ride horses and catch cows and bulls and probably shoot people.
I don't think they did that, but they definitely rode horses, did roping, slide stops, which are really, if you've never seen like someone slide stop on a horse, that's really cool to see.
Okay, no, I haven't really seen that.
That's like when they like run full speed and then they stop the horse and the horse slides and you get this like big billow of dirt and in the air, and it's all on a point system. So everything is like on a point system. At the end, the teams with the most points win. But there's so much to the sport, like so many rules, which was really interesting to learn too. But this story, I actually didn't pitch this story. KCET came to me and asked me if I would be willing to write about it, and I said absolutely, because I've always wanted to be able to share this story.
So it was meant pretty much, right?
Yeah, it worked out that way. It did. It really did.
And did you ever get to see any of your family around that, or?
You know, my memory of my grandfather, my great uncles doing that is so vague because I was a baby. So I have like recollections of going to like lienzos, and obviously I have memories of my grandfather on horses, him putting me on a horse. But I couldn't say, oh yeah, I absolutely remember them competing. I was a baby then. So
was your grandpa like the first generation here, pretty much? Was he the one that came over, or his parents, or how?
On that,
you know that?
On my grandfather, yes. On his side, yes.
He was the one that came over here?
Yeah. On actually no, sorry, it was his father. So
so.
Yeah, I'm confusing it. It was his father who was the first to come over here, and he came over as a bracero.
Oh, okay.
So he picked
cotton. So your great-grandpa?
Yeah, my great-grandfather was a bracero, and he picked cotton here.
Oh, that's a cool history, man. That's a cool history.
Yeah.
And you know what? I did see a picture of that in your Instagram, bracero.
Mm-hmm.
You want to explain for those who don't know what that is?
So it was a program created. So immigrants from Mexico could come here, work on farms and in various capacities, like whether in agriculture. And sometimes, you know, it allowed them to bring their families over. Sometimes they had to go back because there was deportations. But luckily for my family, my great-grandfather was able to bring his family over.
Oh, okay. That's cool. So pretty much your grandpa was Chicano. Or was he born over there?
He was born over there.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
He wasn't born here, and he's rancho. Definitely.
Yeah, okay, so
he's old school. Yeah.
Okay. So what projects you got going on right now, if you got any, in regards to journalism or any other projects?
Right now I have a couple of other stories that I'm working on. A few for KCET, one for another publication, called LA Taco.
Oh, okay.
And then it just kind of goes from there. I pitch stories to these publications, and sometimes they come to me with stories asking if I'd be interested in writing them. And so the ones that I'm doing for KCET, they came to me, and I'm really excited because it goes with a new show that they're going to be debuting at the end of this month.
KCET, I remember seeing that. I don't know if you remember. What would they show on TV? I know KCET. I just don't remember what they would show on TV.
So KCET is part of PBS.
Okay, yes.
So you're familiar with
Sesame
the
Street.
Yeah, there you go.
I knew it was Sesame Street.
Yeah, and a bunch of other documentaries. Arthur.
Reading Rainbow.
Okay,
now I'm making sure. Was it PBS or that one? I didn't remember. But so it's the same either way.
Yeah, they're affiliated with them. They're part of each other, and KCET is doing some really cool stuff. As far as if you go to their website, they have the writing portion of it, and then they have TV shows that they've put out. They're online. That's how you view them, but that really have covered California in different ways, whether it's like food scene or art. So it's really cool to see what they're doing right now.
Are they the ones that did the missions? The segment on all the missions? Was it them? Or I remember someone they would show that to us in school, but I don't know if it was KCET.
They probably did. Like, Huell Hauser is like PBS. Like, that is like home to him. Like, all of those are really cool. Those are still up there. You could go and watch them. But they're doing a lot. They cover a lot of like art, culture, and everyone's like local stories too.
If you could choose to write on something on your own, like say whatever it takes, like, or okay, they say you got this much amount, take it on or on your own, and what would you want to write about, like right now, just if you want to, like,
right,
not right now, but if you had the opportunity to write about something, what would you want to write about?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know if I have like a specific story in mind. I think I would just want to write about a story that like means a lot to me, that tells someone else's story, that again is just a story that gives someone or something a platform that doesn't normally have a platform or a voice. So anything I could write that does that, cool. Is what I want to write. And
that's what's cool, because that's what you call it, I guess a good deed, right? Because you're pretty much what you want to do is help somebody out, I guess, right? Is that what
Yeah, definitely. Anytime like I've written something where I get feedback from, let's say, whoever it was I interviewed, and they tell me that they were happy with my story, means everything to me.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I bet.
Because you never know what the person you interview is going to think or how they feel about it, but when they come back to you and they say thank you so much, like that right there is like the best feeling.
Yeah, I bet and does it make you want to do more, or
right? Yeah, because it's just, again, like I said, it's being able to tell other people's stories that often don't get told, and that's everything.
Here's a question I was thinking of right now before I forget. Also, what does it take to be a journalist or a writer? Which it's the same, right? Well, writer can be a book writer, right? Pretty much. Or
there's different types of writers.
Let's just say journalist then. What does it take to be a journalist for those who want to be or think about it?
It takes a lot of work. You have to hustle. You have to write. You just have to keep writing. And that's like the best advice that when we used to have interns at OC Weekly, like that was the best advice that I could give them, because that was the best advice that I was given myself, was just keep writing. Like that's how you get better. That's how you own your craft. And that's often advice that I have to keep reminding myself as well. Even though I write professionally, I have to remind myself that I have to keep writing. I can't slow down.
Keep the momentum, huh?
Right, yeah.
Pretty much.
Right.
Because it does get you better. Because if I keep writing, like right now, if I sit down, I get like writer's block. I can't like write nothing. I don't have imagination. But then the next day and the next day, I keep getting more imagination. So pretty much is the same, huh?
Yeah, you just have to hustle. I guess you could say
I'm a writer.
Yeah, you are a writer. You write music.
Is it something? So it's hard, but is it something? Well, yeah, it's worth it, right? At the end.
Yeah, it's definitely work. It's you interview people. You have to travel for stories sometimes. The things that I write aren't like, I'm not an investigative journalist. There's definitely, or on the scene journalists who are sometimes putting themselves in like dangerous situations, covering on the ground, whether depending on what it is. So there's all different types of journalists and writers, but yeah, for me it's just a matter of like staying on it and just writing nonstop.
Yeah, that's and that's what it is. Pretty much like anything, you just gotta go for it.
Right.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah,
pretty
definitely.
Go for it. And obviously practice and like what you like.
Yeah.
Like what you do.
But it is much harder for other journalists. Like we had an investigative reporter at OC Weekly, Scott Moxley, and he got death threats and people didn't like him because he was uncovering ugly truths.
Was he investigating cheaters? No.
He was investigating all kinds of people.
Oh, wow.
Cheaters in government.
Oh, wow. I thought like cheaters and cheating.
I'm sure he did that too.
Cheating on my wife. Go look at him.
Yeah. I'm sure he's covered cheaters in high profile cases, but yeah, he was definitely, he had to watch his back because he was exposing bad people. Yeah. So it's definitely, there's people who are journalists that definitely have it harder than other journalists because of that.
Yeah, I bet.
The type of writing they do, at least.
Yeah, and just like the people that go to war and stuff like that, right? And
yeah.
Write about that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, I guess there's different branches of journalism.
There's all kinds.
So in your branch, what is it called if there's a title for it?
I write about culture, profiles, like profiles on people. Oh, okay. I write about food, which is fun.
Delicious?
Delicious.
How's that? Do you try the foods too or no?
I do, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I used to do a column with the OC Weekly that I was gifted when Gustavo left the paper. It was called Hole in the Wall, which was really, really fun to write for. And it was just like finding those hidden gems within Orange County. The ones that you don't typically see getting written about either. So that also made it really special. But it also meant like going out every week and eating out. But it was a lot of fun.
I bet.
Yeah.
And how's the do you do anything in the downtown Santana scene? Because I know, you guys are kind of associated with that, right? I mean, a lot of people, you and Nelson.
Yeah, Nelson and I know a lot of people, from like work or friends or just like meeting people, just kind of like how we met. Like, we met through Julio, and then like I found out later that Freddie was your brother-in-law, which is like crazy, a small world. Yeah. But yeah, we know a few different people in the community. Like we're really good friends with Delilah Snell. She's the owner of Alta Baja Market.
Oh, okay.
If you haven't been there, she has like amazing micheladas.
Oh, okay.
All kinds of different ones too. Like a lot of people say they don't like micheladas because they don't like the like clam and the red, the tomato sauce. But she has all kinds of different ones. One of my favorite ones of hers is called La Chiquita.
Oh, okay.
And it's a passion fruit michelada. Really, really good. But yeah, just through like friends like that, like I've met people through Delilah, and it just kind of is like a trickle effect. Once you're like here in Santana, it's like you start meeting everyone.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: do you plan to be a freelancer, or in the long run, or if you could write for another like OC Weekly type entity, what would it be?
For now, I'm happy being a freelancer because it allows me to be with my son.
Oh, okay.
And also write. So I get the best of two worlds right now.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I wouldn't be open to writing for a publication or working for someone. But right now it's what's working for me, just being an independent contractor.
That's good.
Yeah.
And congratulations to you. You know, I'm happy always. This is what it is. You know, I like bringing people in that move and got things going on, and at the end you didn't quit. You pretty much got laid off, right, from OC Weekly. Everybody did.
Yeah, everyone did.
That could be a shocker, and
yeah.
And in reality, you kept it going, and in reality, I guess it worked better for you because now you work for yourself,
Yeah.
And you got an education. You got a bachelor's. Is that what you have? A bachelor's, and in radio and TV. That's what it's called when you what is it called in the certificate when it says?
It was like communications, but at the time the department, because there's like different departments in the communications department, it was called radio, TV, film, but I don't even think it's called that anymore. I think they changed it.
Oh, okay.
I think it's called like cinema arts or something.
And that makes me happy. That makes me happy seeing our people and people in general achieving. I just realized not too long ago, success doesn't mean having money. Success means you accomplish. I even had to look up the definition because for some reason I think being successful means you have money. It comes with it probably, but it means you accomplish what you want, what you have set for. That's what successful means.
And what makes you happy.
Yeah. So I'm happy for you, and I wish the best for you, and in your journalism. And whatever you write, I just wish you the best.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm happy because, like I said, I was like, I've never met a journalist. To say I know a journalist or a writer, I don't, and now I do. So, thank you for coming by. Do you have any shout outs you'd like to say? I ask everybody that comes by, if you have any shout outs.
I don't know if I have any shout outs. Just shout out to you. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for inviting me to be your first female guest.
And
hopefully more females will be on your show.
Yeah, and it's intimidation, to be honest. I'm happy you came by because hopefully anybody I ask sees this and they're like, yeah, I'm down, because it is, you never know, they're coming to over here to a different spot, I guess, and they don't know what to expect, so it couldn't be scary, so
yeah. But
I'm glad you came, come through, everybody. Any ladies that want to come by, if I hit you up, please.
No, it was fun.
Yeah,
thank you for having me on.
Also, I do tend to ask this: any recommendations that you have, like for the youth, or anything you want to say in regards to future journalists or the youth that wants to get into school for that, or even TV and radio. If you have any words you want to shout out, go ahead. Right now is good. I like people giving advice, and stuff like that.
I guess my advice would be what I said earlier, is just to write. And, if it's kind of hard, luckily I've been able to work with editors, and there are editors out there that are willing to give new writers chances. But don't be afraid to send an email. Pitching a story, because you never know who's gonna say yes, and it's gonna be a no if you don't try, because that's you didn't try. And keep writing, because that's like the only way you could get better. And if you could also start a blog for yourself, because you could put that up online and you could put your stories up, and that's another way for you to show editors an example of your work. So Right. Okay. That's like
there
it.
You go. Right. No wrong, no left or wrong.
No, right.
And where can anybody look up your writings, your journals, or
the stories
I've
written?
Articles.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the word.
You could either Google my name and stories will pop up on Google, or if you go
Cynthia Rebolledo.
Yeah, Cynthia Rebolledo. And
is it okay if you spell it out, Cynthia?
It's CYNTHIA, and then my last name is REBOLLEDO. LLEDO, and you could probably put in like the YouTube like comment section.
So
right?
It's on YouTube. Oh yeah.
No, like so people, it'd probably be easier that way. Yeah, okay. And then my Instagram is public, and you could see my work on there. I have like a link to all my stories that I've written.
Oh, okay.
And that's Squeeze My Orange, and that's SQZMYORNG.
And I will be adding all this stuff on the links on my Instagram and on YouTube. So check it out. Support Cynthia. Go read her stuff. It's real good. I mean, it can inspire you or teach you a little something that you didn't know, like the charreria. I mean, I haven't really read a lot, to be honest, but I read that one, and I learned a lot, to be honest, and that was good because I guess you could say I'm Mexican pride, you know, which I learned something that I didn't know, you know.
That's good. That's what it's supposed to do.
And then it's close to home, and it's like I didn't know, you know. I didn't know, and it's so close to home, and there's a lot of history there. But check her stuff out, you know. Thank you, Cynthia, for coming by. I appreciate it. First episode of 2022, the new year, and first female to come by, first lady to come by.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thankful you came by, and don't be scared if if I hit you up. I'm not doing no creeper stuff. I did hit up a couple of people, and it's like, hopefully they don't think it's wrong. But thank you for coming by again. You know, I appreciate it. Thank you for the 2 opportunities you have given me. One to work in your home, and one to ask you a bunch of questions. You know, thank you. Check her stuff out. Go support. You know, support your locals pretty much, and even if they're not local, you know, support them. And if you're interested in their things. Stay tuned, you know, for more episodes. Like and subscribe. Drop a comment, you know, nothing negative. You could give your opinion, but no, nothing too negative. And, you know, stay tuned for more episodes. Thank you, Cynthia, and, you know, Mr. J coming at you sideways. Peace.